Howdy guys, welcome to Should Be Right Garage. You guys have been waiting a long time for it, as have I. It's part number 13 for the Landau scrap metal build, and we are now finally going to start trying to put this roof on the car. So let's have a bit of an update and see what we're planning to do. So we've got the old girl back in the middle bay where all the work is done on some go jacks. We've got death proof off to the side. And leaning against death proof, we have a sedan roof here. It's going to be the bulk of what we use, hopefully, to turn it into a hardtop roof. We have a very rusty hardtop roof here. It's going to be our template that we can modify the sedan roof from. And we have our very shitty rusty quarter panels that we're hopefully going to get some of these inner panels from. The seat pillars, the inner and outer skins there need to be sampled. And of course, as we're looking at the car, got a lot of surface rust now, it's not a big deal. So you can see as a reminder, the entire parcel tray area is gone, the entire seat pillar area is gone, and of course the entire roof is gone. Well, first things first, time we take care of these roofs. We're going to peel both roof skins off, and then we're going to move our way to these quarter panels and take the outer skins off of these shitty quarters and then see what we've got left. Yeah, you can see that skin's pretty fucked. And so over the years, I know a few people have asked what's the difference between a hardtop headliner retaining strip versus sedan. Let's start in the middle. We'll line up everything exactly perfectly. You can see all the screw holes are identical. All the way across, the shape's identical, except as we pop this down, we've got about 20 millimeters added to the end of it. That's it. If you're handy with a welder and some sheet steel, you can turn a sedan one into a hardtop. Now with both skins and frames separated, we can put them side by side. There's quite a few subtle little differences. So you can see the thickness on here compared to the thickness on the sedan one. So a lot of the sedan stuff won't really be usable. This panel across the top will be usable. The sedan one's narrower by about 20 mil on each side, so we can extend that on this part here. Coming down to the bottom, we've got our differences in these panels as well. So we'll either modify this sedan one or make one from scratch. So it's going to be a lot of scratch built stuff, but there are some internal parts that can be used. And moving on to the actual roof skins themselves, you can see they're pretty much laid up on top of each other. So width at the back is quite okay, and length on the back is okay, so we can trim the sedan one quite easily. But if we come to the side, here is our problem. So even though the hardtop has got a little bit of gutter missing, it's still so much wider than the sedan unit. We'll have a look on the other side, might be able to see that a bit better. So we're going to have to make up some sides for this sedan roof, but nonetheless we'll keep moving on. We've still got our quarters to pull apart, so we can take our inner seat pillars off. And finally, we've got our bulk lot of templates here from 3 different vehicles. Hopefully we can piece them all together and make something that resembles a bit of a C-pillar. And now that we've got the bulk of our C-pillars off, it's time to delve in a little bit deeper. We need to split everything apart, including both the outer and inner sections of these C-pillars. We've got sections here that's left on the roof frame that we've got to take off. We've got to pull it apart on the Landau sections itself. So between all 3 vehicles that have created these donor sections, we'll hopefully be able to create something that is both inner and outer that we can then piece together and check everything for our alignment. And so as we move to the hardtop donor section, we need to look at removing this section here, which is the upper portion of the inner on the C-pillar. That's reasonably intact. Unfortunately, there's not much left of the passenger side, but in any event, in order to remove this, we need to undo this panel here. This is something that we'll probably make up from scratch in future. Over here, this panel is sandwiched between these two, so we've got to peel that back a little bit as well. And we have to pop off the outside section of what is the C-pillar. So we'll start off with that and rip him off. We'll then continue with these remnants and take off anything that's left of the parcel tray and this little filler on all of the quarter section pieces. And so this now brings us to all the template pieces that we're chasing. We've got the passenger side here. We can see between all the little pieces. We can join it all up together and as best as we can make it in one solid piece. You can see the example of the driver's side here. We pretty much have an entire piece now between three. Got to do the same with this part. Once it's all tack welded and joined together, we'll join the two halves together, so the inner and outer, and then we'll line it up on the car and see how we go. Get this corner sorted at the same time while we're at it. And so after that muck around, we now have a very slapped together pair of pillars. So we'll look at putting these templates together with some tech screws between the green, white and brown panels. We can line up all of our spot welds and make sure we pretty much have it exactly where it used to be previously, and then we'll dummy fit it on the car. Whilst they may be very rough, we're now starting to get the appearance of a hardtop roofline. You ripper. And so with that good news of the rear templating done and out of the way, it's time to move on to the front A-pillar area. We're going to remove this old skin from the hard top. We're going to remove this cross brace here because it's been cut into, and then we're actually going to start looking at doing some proper repairs this time. We can see while we need to get this section up and out of the way, it's been trimmed much too short. Once they're gone and out, we'll look at getting the hardtop and sedan donors and actually sorting out these gutter pieces so that we then have something to mount to. So we'll strip all that out of both the donor vehicles as well. Now here we have all our A-pillar and windscreen pieces on both sides. I'll just give you a quick breakdown on all the differences. And here we have sedan on the left, hardtop on the right. They have a slightly different shape. The sedan needs to be lengthened across here. And from a sideways perspective, their angles are a little bit different as well. And we've got a pressing here that needs to be made on the sedan unit, but we'll deal with that later. Now here's the sedan unit going on top of the hardtop unit, and you can see that the hardtop's about 20mm wider, so we'll extend the sedan one to suit. All the rest of the profile is exactly the same. And with our gutters, the sedan on the left and hardtop on the right, you can see that the sedan needs to be trimmed somewhat. The hardtop unit also has a bit of a step here, which is nowhere near as pronounced on the sedan, so we've got to make that a bit more pronounced as well. Here's a sedan pillar on the left. It needs to be trimmed here, but we're not using that part. The curvature of the sedan is not quite as tight as the hardtop, so we can shrink this part down, no problem. The sedan also needs to be shortened on the ends here, right across here. The biggest difference, however, is the width coming across here. So to modify the sedan one, we need to flatten this out and add some steel all along the side and reshape it to suit. And that's exactly what we're going to do to get started. We'll separate these skins. So we're going to repair the hardtop using this piece from the sedan, and we're going to put this piece in from the sedan as well. And now as we move along, we've got ourselves a perfect match. And next up, it's time to deal with the corner sections of our pillars. This is the sedan one that's been split. We're going to focus on the left hand side only, and this part here needs to be shrunk a bit. When we put them side by side to the hardtop template, you can see the difference why it doesn't quite kink enough. Once we do that, we'll cut this gutter off, cut the original section off and weld this on and trim it, and then fit our gutters. And that is now a beautiful fit. And next up, it's time to do the same thing with the curvature here on the gutter section with the sedan. We need to trim it shorter as well, and we've got to make a more pronounced step, just like the hardtop one. And that there will do. And that'll do. But now for the last part that needs to be modified, we've got the upper section of sedan versus hardtop here. Same, but very different. So as we take a bit of a closer look, the width is different from here to here, so we're going to have to put some fillers in. This needs to be more pronounced versus this part, and you can see that it's wider on the coupe as well. And we've got a step here which needs to be made approximately here on the sedan one, and we've got to chop the end of it off. We also need to knock this part out, and by doing so we will be able to tighten up this curve along here. And once we've modified the sedan unit, we will trim it short so that it can mate up to the original Landau piece, and then we can put our cross bracing in. And here they are. We now have a pair of genuine hardtop pieces for the A-pillars, modified from sedan units. Time to fit them up to the Landau. Here's everything now lined up and clamped in place. And as we have a look from underneath, we've got the genuine hardtop template mated up to the sedan cross brace. Now pay some attention to this hole here. It's where the retaining screw normally goes for the vinyl roof with the strip that comes across. And this is it from above, and it lines up perfectly with the sedan hole that's already there. So we know that everything is exactly where it's got to be. Time to lock him in. Now for the part we've all been waiting for. Time to line up the last of this hardtop template See how it looks. And here it is. Our girl's got herself a roof frame. Look at that. For the first time in years, it's starting to look like a hardtop again. Happy bloody days. And there we are, guys. She's now finally looking like a hardtop. You bloody beauty. So the whole entire rear section of the roof area lines up 100%. All the spot welds made up perfectly. Unfortunately, near the front A pillars we're a little bit off. It looks like the car did in fact twist whilst it was a convertible. So for the next episode in Landau 14, we will address that and get it lined up where it should be. We're also going to tackle things like the upper frame area using the sedan components and making some more parts from scratch. So make sure you join us for that. We are full steam ahead. Now, speaking of full steam ahead, we're also doing the same thing with the 35 Dodge truck named Deathbed. We are full steam ahead there as well. We've had a chat to the engineer. It looks like everything we want to do is going ahead, so I'm going to run through all of those details with you in that episode. So make sure you join us for that, which will be the next week's video. Alright guys, like always, like, share and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Cheers.
Oh, you turd. Fucking batteries. There's a fucking missing world, god damn it. Ah, fuck ya. Another fucking spot weld that I missed. Ah, but of course. Always a fucking spot weld that I fucking missed. Great. Oh, you turd.
Unbelievable. Fucking unbelievable, you can't. Which is not quite as pronounced on the sedan. What are you doing, Cat? What are you getting in the film for? Turd.